Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. University of Miami coach Mario Cristobal joins us momentarily. This weekend, Hurricanes on the road, 8 o'clock kickoff, Carter Finley Stadium, Raleigh, North Carolina. That's a tough gin joint to go into.
Boy, I will tell you, they are all over you when you walk in that stadium. And Miami, thank goodness, is practicing with noise this week to be prepared for it because there's going to be a loud venue.
Hurricanes are coming off their fourth straight close game, their second straight overtime win.
You know, Joe, the overtime wins to me are so impressive because it shows that your team is conditioned. You have to go extra plays, but it also shows that they're not giving up, and these Hurricanes are playing awful hard.
Okay, we'll talk about Virginia and North Carolina State with Hurricanes head coach Mario Cristobal coming up. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. Hurricanes coming off another close victory. Great win, coach, in overtime against Virginia. Your last 4 games have been decided by 10 points or less, so you're playing in the house of close games.
We are, and there's a lot of good lessons to be learned with that, and part of those lessons are sometimes you could avoid being in those tight games if you were able to do things and execute at a high level the whole way. But if you're in them, you got to find a way, because at the end of the day, it's still about winning the game, and we're finding a way.
Coach, there's a long list of what happened good in this football game, too. And to Corey Couch, I want to start there first. He's a guy that's been here, I believe, 5 years, and I saw him put forth some effort that was just outstanding and really had an effect on the entire game.
Yeah, we started the team meeting with his play, and we felt that exemplified what needs to be and what has become the DNA of our football team. One of which your will is going to be stronger. You're not going to be denied. For him to chase down the receiver and get him on the ground and give us a chance to play another down, another series, and hold him to a field goal. Ultimately, plays like that determine the outcome of the game. So awesome effort. I know he was under the weather, like a bunch of our guys were before the game. So really just proud of him, super happy for him, and he's been exceptional all year.
Stay on the defense for a moment. James Williams, 13 tackles. Cam Kitchens is secondary player of the week, but James Williams comes in with 13 tackles. One of them right on the sidelines, preventing their quarterback from getting a first down.
No doubt. Both those guys are playing at a really high level. And, you're talking about James. James, doesn't get enough attention or credit sometimes, but I don't think he's worried about that. He's playing at a really high level. He's extremely physical. He's a smart guy. A lot of passion. He's a Hurricane through and through, and he made some really big plays, some physical plays, some game-changing plays, not only in this past game, but throughout the course of the year. So really fired up for him and the way he's been taking on his challenges.
Coach, I'm going to jump ahead to the overtime part where Cohen, we got to make sure that Javion Cohen was on the wrap. He was pulling around, had a lot to do with it. You can walk us through that, but really the tight end got a 2-for-1 as far as his blocking goes as well. So there were a couple guys that got Big Fletch into the end zone.
Yeah, no doubt. I know that there was a play that Coach Dawson loves, Coach Mirabal loves. I heard him talking, and it's like, hey, we want to run this. I'm like, well, it's going to be three really good players that have a chance to be in space to make this thing work. And they went to work, and it wasn't pretty. It was muddy, it was ugly, it was muddled, but feet in the ground, right? Hands on people, pushing, shoving, grinding, and finding a way to get in there. And the place exploded. I always wait for replay nowadays because anyways, I'll leave it at that. But but it was great to see that kind of a finish for the players first, the defense getting a great stop.
Yes,
I mean that cannot be understated. How critically important it was that the defense played 86 snaps. And found a way in overtime to go, boom, 3 and force the field goal to give the offense a chance to win it.
We call overtime red zone ball, and again, in overtime, red zone ball, you hold them to a field goal, but also during regulation, they were 2 for 6 in the red zone in terms of scoring touchdowns, so you kept them out of the end zone.
We did, and we felt good about overtime for a couple reasons. Number one, we're deep in our territory with not that much time left, and in a game where we weren't having much success throwing the ball. The second part is we really hadn't gotten in the red zone right, at the level that we're used to getting. So we had a really good red zone plan that hadn't been unveiled yet. So, that going into overtime, you feel pretty good about, okay, we still have our full menu. It hasn't been seen yet. And, a couple plays later, we didn't get to run the whole menu, obviously, but we ran the ones that we felt good about, and it was executed to a high level.
Ruben Bain, once again, we want you to spend some time on him. But Branson Dean, talking about some inside guys, well, what a difference he made. Came up with a couple sacks, and he just kind of flies under the radar. But then you look and all of a sudden the production's unbelievable.
Branson Dean is finally healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And Branson Dean was a difference maker in the springtime and then early in camp until he got a little bit banged up. He is now healthy. He played, I believe, in the neighborhood of 35 snaps or whatnot and was extremely effective, and he feels even better this week. And he made a tremendous difference on Saturday. Tough guy, competitor. You're only going to see things get better and better from there, so it's good to have him back.
Coach, the Fletcher touchdown, what do you think it means not only for him, but for your program? You look at that picture of Fletcher. Here's a freshman. He's in the game at a critical time. He slugged his way into the end zone. There's a big celebration. And maybe best of all, family gets to see it and greet him when the game is over at Hard Rock Stadium, probably a couple of minutes away from where they live. That whole thing has to be really an important picture, right?
Yeah, it's powerful. Let's call it what it is. Our team is a great mix, right? We have some players that have been here for a while. We've had some guys transfer in, and then we have some freshmen and a historic freshman class this past year. And a lot of these guys have had the chance to really showcase their talent and their skills and have been difference makers right here in front of their families at home, and in some really clutch moments. And that speaks volumes. So I think a couple things, it validates a lot of the things that we said from the moment we arrived on campus. And two, the most important part is that this team and these players are being validated by progress, the level of play improving, having opportunities to make plays to change games. All those things are coming together, and the best part about it is, we've progressed, but we got a long way to go, and it's all systems go. The appetite is to get better.
Coach, we talk about the overtime. We started there, but you also had to overcome 10 points to get to overtime. I mean, you were down, and this team, no quit, none.
We were flat. We didn't come out like we're used to coming out. We all take full responsibility. I got to take full responsibility. We thought we were ready. We thought we were prepared, but they, we didn't play as hard and as well as they did to start the football game. And we had to wake up in pieces, one play at a time, and work our way back into this thing. And I think our players have now developed the confidence and also the awareness. Number one, you can't start a game like that. Number two, if we are in a sticky situation, we can work our way out of it. Mm-hmm. As long as everyone does their job, we could, one play at a time, work our way back into a position to win the football game.
Well, one guy that helped out, Andy Borregalis, 3 field goals, 45 yards or more, 47, 48, and 50. I think it's the first time the University of Miami's had a kicker nail 3 45-plus field goals in a game. So he delivered, and I think it was significant because a couple years ago against Virginia, unfortunately hit the upright. So this one, he comes through in a big way, and that last one, to send it to overtime, was clutch.
Well, not only that, it was a windy day now.
Yeah.
There were gusts up to 25 miles per hour. And there's a lot of confidence when you go out and you see your kicker and you ask him, hey, which way do you want to kick off? Because you see the wind, you feel the wind swirling, right? You see the banners, going all over the place. He just looks at you and says, I don't care. I'm going to kick it out the end zone anyway. So much confidence in himself. We have so much confidence in him. I mean, we've mentioned how far we're willing to kick a field goal from because of what he has shown. But, he also inspires and leads the rest of the special teams. Those units are playing at a high level. The punt team did a great job flipping the field, making sure that we found hidden yardage throughout the course of the game and found a way to get ourselves in position, to kick field goals, to get points and claw our way back in. So, but it started on Saturday with Andy, and certainly happy he's on our side.
Got to throw in Ray Joseph. He had some great returns as well.
It's good to see him with the ball in his hands. He's electric. He's fast. He's explosive. He almost got out of there.
Almost.
I was all over him today. I'm like, come on, man, the kicker tackled you, man. What happened? That's not supposed to happen. But it was a great tackle by their kicker, and Ray did a really, really good job. We're one block away there. If we, put our half position in the right spot, that thing spits, but it now gives us the opportunity to combat some of the sky kicks when people don't want to kick it to Bouchard.
How about the way Wesley Bissain has developed for you? Last week, 2 weeks ago against Clemson, he's playing kind of all over the field because he needed to make some adjustments. And it seems like he's making a lot of plays wherever you put him.
Yeah, Wesley is really coming on, really developing into the player we always felt that he could be. There's great leadership in that room. All those guys, they work so well together, right? Kiko and Corey Flagg and KJ and him and K4. I mean, all these guys they work hard. They push each other. It's a competitive room, very similar to the running back room. And it's not by accident that those rooms continue to elevate their play, because if you don't, right, someone's going to take your spot. So it's the right kind of competition, and we expect ourselves to get better there.
You bring up Kiko Mauinoa, just a week after week gets better and better, and just making a big difference. Had a big sack in the game as well.
Yeah, he's a rare breed now. Mm-hmm. I mean, he just goes. He really does. It's the DNA of a champion like the rest of those guys. He's awesome to be around.
All right, Coach, we'll talk more about North Carolina State coming up in just a moment. But first, time now for our high performance moment of the week, presented by Kia. And what a moment this is, Don Bailey Jr. Overtime, Hurricanes driving in. They give the ball to Mark Fletcher, and what happens?
Well, what happens is Javion Cohen on the wrap play, he gets around the edge, takes out a few Cavaliers, but also Cam McCormick gets a 2-for-1 shot. And I think that helped open it up as much as anything. But Cohen, keeping his feet through the entire play, makes sure that Big Fletch gets into the end zone. Right there, 84, you see 1, 2 out of the play. And then you have Fletcher slipping a tackle, Cohen pushing him back into the playing field, and touchdown Miami Hurricanes. And you went nuts, Joe.
Hurricanes win the game in overtime. Mark Fletcher, the freshman from American Heritage, showing his power, his strength, and his determination, and that is our high performance moment presented by Kia. This week it is Miami and North Carolina State, 8 o'clock kickoff at Carter Finley Stadium, Raleigh, North Carolina. Carter Finley, one of the top spots in this league in terms of home field advantage. They can bring it for a night game. They are coming off one of the more bizarre games in terms of winning. Then you talk about finding a way to win. Clemson ran 81 plays. North Carolina State ran 46 plays. They ran for 64 yards, and they were 3 for 13 on third down, and they won the game because they took the ball away and weren't penalized.
Well, but they work at it. They do a great job stripping out the ball, punching the ball out. You watch every play, and they're finding a way to get the ball out. And when they tackle, it's not just tackling. They're running through people. It's as physically violent of a tackling team as I've seen, extremely well coached. We mentioned earlier about the fact that this is a team that has so many players that are in their third, fourth, and fifth year in the system. High school recruits, that are they're systematic, they've developed, and they play at a really, really high level. So they've got a lot of physical, mature guys that play really hard and play really well.
Coach, they're number 11, the linebacker Peyton Wilson. I don't know if there's anybody who can match his intensity and his effort. That guy just goes at it. At least what I've seen so far is just an amazing player.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, he's one of the clips we were watching this morning, because he's a reflection of the program, and their DNA and how they do things. And he's relentless. I think it was the one clip where, it's an extended play, and he's caught up, covering the flat and whatnot, and the receiver breaks behind one of the DBs, and he hawks it down 50 yards away, a receiver, and gets there with violent intentions, So he's all over the field. You saw him with his interception touchdown this past week. He's a special player.
They are big and physical. As you mentioned, these guys have been in their system, so they know their scheme well. So offensively, what do you need from Tyler and your offense in terms of execution in this game?
Well, the first thing is you got to protect the football. Because if you're loose with it, if you're careless with it, they're going to find a way to take it away. Second of all, they're very disruptive, okay? They live to get you in second and long, third and long situations where they can unleash their packages. We don't play another front like this in our conference. right? This is a legitimate 3-3 nickel defense, and they live in that personnel group, and they do some changes on third down or whatnot. But the way the shell lines up, it all looks the same, but it's something different. It's cover zero, it's three cloud, it's two invert. They're very, very dialed in to the ins and outs of that scheme. So it allows them to disguise and yet still get in the right position.
And they're stingy with the run. They've only given up about an average of 110 yards a game. So everybody says 3 men down. That doesn't mean that you can't stop the run. It's the opposite.
No doubt. That front, I mean, they're just, again, besides all the other stuff we talked about and being athletic and all that, they're just really tough. They're really tough and physical. They play with great pad level. They use their hands really well. They understand blocking schemes. They play off each other. You see them just hunt down screens. I mean, someone will get spit out there to the perimeter, and you've got 11 hats flying to the ball. They're an impressive bunch on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. On the offense, they made a change at quarterback. MJ Morris can run, but Dave Dorn and his teams have always run the stretch play or about 1,000 different versions of the counter.
They sure do, and it starts with the guys up front. Mm-hmm. Those guys, they get their cleats in the ground, they come off with flat backs, and they knock you back, and they finish plays. You could tell that it's a very well-coached football team that understands their system really well. We really think both quarterbacks are good players.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we've seen enough film on both of them to feel that way, and they've got explosive playmakers in the backfield and on the perimeter. Player of the week or freshman of the week a week ago, and that probably doesn't tell the whole tale of how good they are outside. They've got a lot of dynamic playmakers.
Coach, when you go to the freshman Concepcion, I mean, it's almost every week now. You go back to Georgia Tech, they had a freshman, and then you go with at North Carolina, they had a big timer. Mm-hmm. This young man fits right in the mix.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the country right now, if not the best. And they find different ways to get him the ball, and they move him all over the place. So you just can't find him and play a certain coverage. You have to have the back end match what you're doing up front, and a lot of it has to do with the awareness of not only where he is, but all their other playmakers as well. They do a really, really good job.
Teams this time of the year, some teams know who they are, some teams still trying to figure out what they are, but you go into this game, University of Miami ranks third or better in more than a dozen categories inside the ACC, including total offense, total defense, opponents' points per game, offensive points per game. So there is significant progress being made because the numbers say that your team is soaring toward the top.
We feel like we're making progress every day, and the stats back it up. So our players know that, but it's kind of interesting. Like there's no one in the building, patting themselves on the back or claiming any kind of. Everything is like, man, we could be so much better. We could be so much better, and we're going to be better. We're going to keep getting better. But yeah, it's undeniable that we're making a ton of progress, and that there's just nobody satisfied, and everything is centered upon improvement. Everything is centered upon winning and doing it the right way, and doing the same thing off the field. So again, culture is kicking in. Things are getting better and better, and we just got to keep going.
Coach, I admire the way that you run your practices, especially towards the end of a year. I mean, you're very adamant about how it's going to be, and it works. And a lot of people believe in that. But the other thing you stress is this is week 9 for the whole country. So you can't feel, if you're sore, everybody's sore. If you're tired, everybody's tired. It's the ones that work through it or break through it that are going to have success.
Well, I mean, football hasn't changed in 200 years, right? Or however long it's been played. I mean, it's November just about, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's beat up. These feelings they're not unique to us. Everybody's feeling it. And then, as a staff and the leadership on your team, you have a choice. You can start trying to find a way to squirm out of it. You could start thinking, all right, let's cut all this other stuff out, and you could try to rationalize it, but you can't rationalize anything in the fourth quarter and in overtime, because that's when the truth of your Tuesday and Wednesday is going to show itself. So how do you want it to look? How do you want it to end during that time? And so we're smart about it. We don't go to the ground, but there's certain things that you have to do on Tuesday and Wednesday to maintain a certain level of physicality, and really in our case, to improve our levels of physicality. So we're maintaining those principles and values of becoming, a stronger team as the year goes on.
I'm just kind of curious about your view on the ACC. You've been in the SEC and the Pac-12. This year has been kind of a wild season in the ACC. 6 teams have 2 losses, so within striking distance as we go into November. I was wondering, one, your thoughts on the ACC, and two, does it relate to recruiting in any way when you're in a conference and you get a feel for a conference? I mean, a couple years ago, if you were in the Big 12, it was all spread, right? Throwing the ball, I would imagine you need about 1,000 defensive backs, but do you need to recruit a certain way in this conference or not?
No, you recruit to what you want your team to be. Yeah, your
yeah.
blueprint, you know, and what we've seen is, you know, and you usually see like you almost have to measure it in 3 and 4 year cohorts, right? Because you recruit a class this year, but they don't play till next year, and some of those guys don't play till 2 or 3 years down the line, right? So, and what you see, there's a lot of really good coaching staffs that are recruiting really, really well, and it's been shown in some places that have been here for a couple of years, and it's shown in some of the more recent hires. You know, very similar was in the Pac-12, you know, and how we started recruiting to a certain level, and all of a sudden, you know, you're going and you're winning some games against top 5 teams on the road, you know. So yeah, it's all a matter of making sure that your personnel fits your plan, and if it doesn't, then just keep trying to find ways to make it work and win until you do.
Coach, talk about the importance of reps at this level and how missing a week or 2 weeks or a month is a huge setback, not just physically, but you have no reps in the bank when you're 18, 19, and 20 years old, and it has an effect.
Yeah, reps are the mother of all learning, right? The repetition. The repetition, got to have it. Every week is different. You know, think about it. These guys got to go to class, they have assignments to do, right? Reports or whatnot. And they got to come in on Monday. Wait a second, what we did last week, how come we're doing all this new stuff? It's like, well, it's a different defense or it's a different offense. We've got to make this adjustment. We've got to call it this instead of that. So it's a lot. Then you've got to take those reps to feel comfortable with it, and then you got to take them at full speed so that once you arrive to that opponent's stadium, that there's no anxiety, there's no flinch in your system. So the repetition, it just can't be compromised. You know, if you can't practice to a certain level by a certain time, a certain part of the week, then your value in helping the team win becomes less and less.
Before we go, we got to hit on your running backs, because 2 weeks ago was a Chaney, Parrish, Bouchard, Smith combination. Then this week it's A.J. Allen and Mark Fletcher. I mean, for a minute there, we thought we were going to run out of people, but each guy has, when been called on, has delivered. Allen became Superman, and Mark Fletcher, you know, delivered a knockout blow. But how about your running backs and where you stand right now with your running backs?
A competitive room that pushes each other in the right kind of way. It's the healthy kind of competition that the entire organization needs. We're there at a couple of positions. We need it across the board for us to get better. But I think the fact of what you just mentioned, that no matter who's been called upon, they've responded for the most part. That's the result of legitimate competitive character taking shape in practice on a daily basis. That's all that is. You know, so this week where you're going to get, I can't tell you yet.
Yeah, but by the way, I think we'd make it, if the opponent you would look at and go, well, this is a little bit difficult to key on, because all the guys, the numbers are pretty similar in terms of carries and yards.
Yeah, it's they're all different styles. Every single one of them, they all do something uniquely different. So it's kind of neat. It's like having, you know, your pitcher that could throw a couple different kind of, you know, pitches. So let's keep that competition alive. Let's keep pushing each other to get better, because again, come Saturday, whoever has played and practiced the best is going to get the nod, you know, and as that room being accepting of that has made them all better, and you hope that all rooms can do that. If not, you got to find guys that are willing to do so.
And by the way, as we go close out, we hit November, and you're going to November playing in very meaningful, significant games. A lot to play for.
No doubt, it's kind of neat. You know, that's a strong sign of progress. You know, you now head into November, and you know it's on the line, you know, on a week-by-week basis. So we're proud of progress. We're nowhere near satisfied. We're nowhere near content, but we're excited. We're legitimately fired up, enthused about the direction, about so many guys that are developing, you know, whether they've been here for a while or just got here. So everything points towards, you know, a very strong and upward trajectory.
All right, Coach, the very best of luck against North Carolina State.
Thank you.
All right, that's University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. We'll continue on the show right after this. Happy to welcome you back to the Mario Cristobal Show presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr. This weekend it's Miami and North Carolina State at Carter Finley Stadium. This is an experienced North Carolina State team. Canes are going to have to bring their AA game.
They are, Joe, and it's going to be a full 60-minute battle. I look for it to be a close game. You've got great defense on both sides of the football, and you've got offenses that are two different personalities, but it's going to make for a great contest.
Hurricanes have won the last 4 in this series, but I'm expecting a slugfest.
You're expecting correct. I mean, they're a physical team. Their head coach preaches physicality, and so does Miami's, and you can imagine what it's going to show up and be.
All right, we start November with a lot to play for. For Don Bailey Jr. and Hurricanes head coach Mario Cristobal, I'm Joe Zagacki. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Mario Cristobal Show.